exclusiva se escuchan aquí en El Mañanero.
Saludos en la costa del Marva. Tenemos una comunicación importante el día de hoy, una entrevista importante y exclusiva con el gobernador John Carney, a quien quiero darle la bienvenida. Governor, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be with you again.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. I know it's been a really hard weeks for the economy, for the state, for the United States, and for the world. I know it's been hard to be on the side of the protecting people, but also I can imagine making decisions to make sure we want to reopen in the safest way. I understand you took the decision with your task forces in the last few days to partially reopen today some of the other essential, non-essential business, I'm sorry. But so how difficult has been these 8 weeks of dealing with this COVID-19?
Yeah, it's been incredibly difficult to 8 weeks, particularly for the businesses that had to close down completely, the bars and restaurants, other retailers that really have been hit hard. I've been on the telephone conference calls with them on a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis for the restaurants. And I just can hear the anguish in their voices as they talk about the tremendous negative economic impact it's had on them. It's also been very difficult on the workers as well. And so it's just been 2 months of grueling, difficult decisions to make. And fortunately, the people of Delaware have really pulled together. What we saw this week in Sussex County and the community testing sites and the testings at the poultry plants is just really incredible. And frankly, has given me a big lift as I thought about all the people who've participated.
Yeah. Dice el gobernador John Carney, quien está en exclusiva con nosotros conversando el día de hoy. Dice que ha sido bien difícil estas 8 semanas de decisiones, de escuchar el clamor de la gente, por un lado, de las personas enfermas, de manejar el tema de los hospitales y la salud, pero también de escuchar el clamor de los empresarios, de muchos de los negocios que están cerrados por esta crisis económica que ha causado el estar cerrados por 8 semanas. Ha sido muy difícil tomar decisiones. Dice, sin embargo, que se siente orgulloso de que los test que se están haciendo en Sussex County, particularmente en las plantas de pollo, en toda la región, en el estado de Delaware, le ha levantado el ánimo y dice, ha levantado la esperanza de que se puede volver a reconstruir lo que se estaba haciendo normalmente en el estado de Delaware. Now, I believe you've been working with these groups of business owners, and I just talked a couple minutes ago with Scott Camerier from Sodell and the head of the Restaurants Association in Delaware. He's hoping that soon the restaurants also in the hospitality industry will be back in business.
Yeah, so we have been working very closely with the restaurants and other businesses in our state. And the major focus, Kevin, has been how do we open safely? Mm-hmm. How do we give customers and the workers in those restaurants the degree of confidence that they need to go back to work, and for the customers to come back into the restaurants as they have in the past? Now, it won't be the same. Folks will have to be separate a little bit, not as many people in the restaurant, but we need to get those folks back to work and back to business so that they can start getting some revenue to survive. And I know how difficult it's been. I hear what they're saying to me, and we just have to find a way to balance the health of the community with the health of Delaware's economy.
Dice el gobernador que sí ha estado conversando con todos los empresarios de la industria de los restaurantes, tratando de que hay un balance en cómo se va a reabrir de la manera segura para proteger a los trabajadores, para proteger la economía de las industrias envueltas y que obviamente que ellos empiecen a hacer más otra vez dinero y a ganar dinero para poder mantenerse como el negocio. También, pero dice que es importante también hacer las reglas para que se pueda proteger a los clientes. Now, Governor, do we have any expectations to when the restaurants industry will be opening under the new rules?
Yeah, so not yet. Okay. We've really tried to establish a target date of June the 1st in terms of moving into phase 1, what's called phase 1 by the White House Task Force and the CDC guidelines. And we're working on how different establishments, different business sectors can reopen under safe conditions. Limited reopening, we like to think of it as kind of a rolling reopening and just gradually turning the light dimmer switch back on, as opposed to just a flick of the switch where it goes from off to on immediately. I think that gradual approach will enable us to get a sense as to the reaction of both workers and customers, so that we can establish a level of confidence that folks will come back, will go to the restaurants, will go to the retailers. We have some big questions looming about opening the beaches or not, and again, gradually doing that to let people on the beaches as they can be in some places now, but with more limited activity, I think, Kevin.
Ok, dice el gobernador, le preguntaba que si es que hay alguna una fecha estimada de cuándo se reabrirían los restaurantes, etcétera. Dice que todavía no tiene una fecha definitiva, pero que están poniendo como un target, como un objetivo, tal vez el 1 de junio, tal vez reabrir los restaurantes de una manera no regular, pero parcialmente abriendo despacio y de una manera protectora hacia los clientes y hacia las empresas. Pero también dice que se tendría que abrir otros sectores como las playas, que parcialmente van a ser abiertas de una manera limitada. Sin embargo, dice que están trabajando, todavía no hay las reglas determinantes con las que se van a manejar la reapertura de esta fase 1 que ha llamado, de acuerdo a lo que ha dicho la Casa Blanca, el Task Force de la Casa Blanca y también el CDC. Es muy importante que se entienda que el gobernador está trabajando con un grupo de personas, un grupo de trabajo para poder reabrir parcialmente en la fase 1 para el 1 de junio, tentativamente lo que ha dicho el gobernador. Now, I believe the Amendment 15 to the emergency law has been done a couple of days ago, and we target to open today, actually at this time. So the reopening, how it's going to work? People is not going to be able to go into the places. They will be able to to go, pick up, to go, and how it's going to work though? Some of these businesses, they are not opening yet, but they're going to be open from today.
Yeah, so today we're allowing retailers to open on a limited basis, and there's a whole list of them on the website. And I would direct your listeners, your viewers, to the Delaware coronavirus website, de.gov/coronavirus, and look under business. And there's a whole list of mostly retailers. And the idea, Kevin, is to allow them to sell their product kind of at the curbside, if you will. Over the internet with delivery at the curbside, and allow businesses to be creative about how they can do that. And again, this is a way of learning ways that businesses can open and do business with while maintaining the kind of social distancing, the separation between and among people, so as to prevent the virus from spreading. We still know it's out there. It's particularly prevalent there in Sussex County, and particularly in our Latino communities and Haitian Creole communities and others where there are lots of poultry workers. We had a tremendous effort there this week to identify folks that are COVID-19 positive. But the idea is to really prevent that spread, to treat those who have the virus, and to enable businesses to be creative so that they can go back to kind of open up again on a limited basis and get some revenue so that they can stay in business and survive. It's the biggest concern that I have as I listen to business owners on our conference calls.
Dice el gobernador, le preguntaba que hoy, el día de hoy a las 8 se abre ya los negocios, algunos negocios que son de retail o que son de venta de productos. Dice que sí, que efectivamente se abre hoy, pero que ellos tienen que vender un poco, la gente puede ordenar como online o por llamadas telefónicas y precisamente pasar a retirar sus productos en la puerta de los negocios. Le he preguntado que si la gente va a poder tener acceso dentro de los locales, y obviamente dice que no, que lo que la gente va a hacer es ordenar los productos y los almacenes van a poder entregarles en la puerta a las personas. Que él ha escuchado el clamor de muchísimos cientos de empresarios que quieren reabrir y empezar a hacer negocios, pero dice que esta decisión se ha hecho de esta manera para proteger ahora mismo a la salud de los delawareanos. Dice que en Sussex County el virus prevalece, todavía está en alto contagio, especialmente dentro de las comunidades latinas, la comunidad haitiana, dentro de las comunidades de gente que trabaja en las plantas de pollo. Se ha descubierto ventajosamente con los test que se ha hecho últimamente, se ha descubierto que mucha gente ha estado enferma y se ha podido ponerla en cuarentena, pero esto nos ayuda a que debamos tomar las medidas. Dice que hagan estas compras, salgan a hacer estas compras si lo necesitan, pero háganlo con mucho cuidado porque todavía el virus está ahí, hay que mantener la distancia y usar las mascarillas. So, everything under the emergency law is still in place. We have to use the mask, we have to keep the distance, and we have to follow all the instructions as you ordered in the last 8 weeks, Governor.
Yeah, and obviously that's part of the message is that we need to continue those protective measures, continue wearing masks when in public, out to do essential businesses, or even to pick up products that you bought curbside from a small business that is now open. And again, we've got to prevent the spread of the virus as we gradually reopen the economy and allow businesses to reopen and serve customers. And so again, creating that level of confidence among workers, customers, business owners will require these protective measures so that folks have the confidence that they can go and pick up products at the curbside, go into essential businesses that are still open, and we're still protecting the public from the spread of the virus. And again, if we can do that, and by the way, Delawareans have done that over the last 2 months, and that's why we've seen, notwithstanding the increase there, the spike in cases in Sussex County. And I must say one thing about those cases: the number of hospitalizations that have resulted as part of that have been very low, not a lot of them, and that's a good thing there. It's a measure of the severity. Hopefully, it's not a measure that folks aren't going to the hospital if they're sick. But as we've seen a spike in positive cases, it hasn't resulted in a big spike there in hospitals, which has given us a level of comfort that we can start to move to the opening phases in phase one that we're talking about. We're taking these interim steps as a lead up to phase one, again, to learn what it takes to get customer and worker confidence in the protections that are being provided. So face mask wearing, social distancing, staying at home when instead of going out into the public is still important.
Dice el gobernador que estas medidas, todavía le preguntaba si todavía las medidas de emergencia están vigentes. Dice que claro que sí, que están vigentes porque quiere que la gente esté protegida, que las medidas de distanciamiento, de usar la mascarilla, todo está en vigencia, que no quiere que salgamos si no tenemos que salir, que tratemos de hacer las compras. Precisamente ha tratado de que se reabran estos negocios para que la gente pueda tener acceso a estos productos. Sin embargo, dice que mantener todavía la distancia y hacer todas las medidas que ha dispuesto la ley para que estemos protegidos. Dice que a pesar de la subida del spike, a pesar de la subida de casos en el estado de Delaware, es debido a que se está haciendo más test, pero que ventajosamente en el tema de hospitalización que se ha mantenido, que no hay un crecimiento de nuevos hospitalizados, que hay más bien una reducción pequeña de casos de personas hospitalizadas que ha bajado, y que lo que quiere es dejar el mensaje de que esto nos da una oportunidad a pensar de que estamos haciendo bien las cosas y que podríamos a futuro reabrir nuestro estado de una manera más regular. Por ahora lo que él recomienda es que mantengamos las medidas que se han dictado en la emergencia. Now, Governor, if everything works, if the community, the society in Delaware, the Delawareans, we are doing what we're supposed to do, follow the rules, follow the new, way to live, you will consider so little by little, step by step, phase by phase, to reopen it as a normal we can, right?
Yeah, so you tailed off a little bit at the end, but the target for gradually moving into phase one for us, given the downward trend in hospitalizations, the flattening of the hospitalizations statewide, the downward trend in the percent of cases of the tests that we're doing that are positive, all those indicators moving on a downward trend will enable us to target kind of June 1st for moving
Mhm.
into that phase one,
Perfect.
where again we'll see more gradual reopening of businesses. And between now and then, the expectation is that we will work with these business sectors to identify ways that they can open safely. So again, that we can accomplish the level of confidence that
Yeah.
customers and workers will need as they go back to work and as businesses reopen again.
Dice el
And then
gobernador.
after that,
I'm
as
sorry.
we move into June, more fuller opening of businesses, hopefully, as we contain the virus with additional testing and contact tracing initiatives across the state of Delaware.
El gobernador dice que precisamente lo que dijo antes, un poco haciendo énfasis en la manera en la que operar, dice que el target, la idea de abrir para junio primero muchos más negocios es que se pueda mirar que la curva de crecimiento empiece a bajar de los casos positivos, que el número de hospitalizaciones se quede aplanada, que no haya más contagios. La idea de buscar eso, ese es el objetivo. Y si es que eso resulta bien, pues obviamente junio primero sería una fecha tentativa en la que se reabriría mucho más el estado, que obviamente lo que buscan es que no haya más contagios y preservar la salud y la vida de las personas en principio. Now, Governor, the Hispanic community, unfortunately, is being identified one of the biggest target of this virus. Unfortunately, and then the way the people live and the way the people work as essential workers, thousands of workers are there, is still an opportunity for, I spoke with Secretary of Labor last week, and he says probably by Monday, this coming Monday, will be opportunity for the people who is unemployed and they've been working as a subcontractors or independent contractors to be able to qualify. If they're not working, to qualify for unemployment. That's still in place, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's been a big issue because we have so many workers these days who work on a contractual basis. And I know Secretary Cade has been working on that. I don't know the specifics as we talked this morning, but I know it's been a big issue, and it's been a big issue for a number of years. And as more employees work on a contractual basis for various companies and for various reasons, both for the benefit of the worker and for the business. And so it's an issue I think that we need to continue to look at. It has been one that's been top of mind for many over the last several years. But this situation, this pandemic, and the support that's needed for workers that are out of work when businesses close really brings it to the top of mind and to our attention. So it
Absolutely.
is something I know that Secretary Cade is working on. It's a concern for all of us.
Dice el gobernador con respecto al pagar desempleo a las personas que trabajan como contratistas independientes con con una documentación como contratistas con 1099. Dice que sí, que él está trabajando con el secretario Cade para que esto suceda, que ha sido una conversación de muchos años de cómo se puede darle desempleo a las personas que trabajan como trabajadores independientes, pero que sí que este es un plan. Y la pandemia nos ha obligado, dice, a tomar unas medidas estrictas para poder volver a ver, que no tiene detalles ahora. Entiendo que la próxima semana se van a revelar estos detalles, pero que el secretario Cade es quien está encargado de esto. Now, the chicken plants, they are still on planning to continue the testing, or the effort, the multi-agencies effort, like all the hospitals and medical centers working together in the last few weeks, is going to continue to serve everybody, including the chicken plant employees.
Yeah, I missed some of that, but one of the main concerns, kind of the main concern for us is containing the outbreak there. That's mostly centered around poultry workers there in Sussex County, and so we do have a track approach to that, as you probably know, and as we've discussed before, Kevin. One is to test the workers as they go into the plants, and that was done this week at the Purdue plant in Milford, at the Allen Harim plant in Harbison, at the Purdue plant there in Georgetown, and I think at the beginning of next week at the Maltaire plants, if not at the end of this week as well. And so I'm pleased, frankly, with the way that has gone and with the cooperation that we've gotten from the plants. I think it's essential, obviously, to keep the plants running and to keep folks at work and to protect the workers and their families. In the plants themselves, what's really important is that they install protective measures. And my understanding that has been done. And so we can move forward, hopefully treating those that are test positive. We can get in the communities. We've tested thousands of people in the communities in Georgetown and Milford, and at the end of the week in Seaford, and we'll continue to do that, moving over to Millsboro. We've tested in Sussex County probably more than any other area in the state of Delaware to really try to get control of the outbreak there. And I can't say enough about the hospitals, Beebe and Bay Health and Nanticoke, about the poultry plants themselves for doing the testing and helping with the testing and for installing that protective equipment so people can work safely there.
That's great. Le preguntaba que si los test van a continuar en las plantas de pollos y en Sussex County a través de las multiagencias. Dice que sí, que en estos últimos días se han hecho los test en Purdue, en de Georgetown, de Milford, también en Allen's, Harim, de Harveston, que posiblemente este fin de semana o la próxima semana se van a hacer en las plantas de Montaire, pero que dice que esto sigue, que también que no puede agradecer, no tiene palabras para agradecer todo el trabajo que han hecho tanto las plantas de pollo para poner las protecciones, así como los hospitales para hacer los test. Dice que quiere agradecerle a Bay Health, a Beebe, a Nanticoke por el trabajo que han hecho con las agencias y con las enfermeras y doctores para trabajar y hacer el testeo masivo. Dice que nunca se pensó hacer una cantidad tan grande de test como se ha hecho en Sussex County, pero que se ha hecho un tremendo esfuerzo y que se siguen haciendo y se seguirán haciendo más test de coronavirus a los empleados. Se dice que en las empresas de pollo ya han tomado medidas para proteger a los empleados y están haciéndolo cada día más, y que esto va a ayudar para que las personas conserven su trabajo y que sigan estas empresas a pie, proveyendo trabajo, pero también la alimentación para todos los estadounidenses. Governor, I want to thank you so much for this time. Is there any message that you want to deliver to the Latino community, to the American community, to Delawareans? Because I know a lot of people is watching this video and listening to the radio in English and Spanish right now. And what is your final message, Governor Carney?
Yeah, my final message is one of thanks for all the folks in Sussex County, for the officials in Georgetown and Milford and Seaford and Sussex County government as well, elected officials there, to Lared and Beebe and Bay Health and Nanticoke, all the hospitals and community support folks who've helped us over this past week test thousands of Sussex Countyans. And I just want to remind so it's one of thanks and appreciation, but it's also a reminder and a message that everybody needs to follow the guidance to keep social distancing. If you are sick, not to go to work and to try to isolate at home. If you need assistance with that, we have a hotel for the workers there where they can isolate and prevent the spread from their family members and others that they might live with, and to be very careful traveling to and from work, in buses and vans maybe, or in cars, to keep separate and wear your masks, really to prevent and to protect everyone there in Sussex County. Yeah. And thank you, Kevin, to you for enabling me to be on your show and talk to your listeners, and to thank the people there in Sussex County for what they did this week and last.
It's a pleasure, Governor. Let me translate this part in this conversation. Pero dice el gobernador, le decía, ¿cuál es su mensaje final para la comunidad de Delawareans que están escuchando en inglés y en español esta entrevista? Dice que quiere agradecerle a los doctores, a las enfermeras, a los centros como Beebe, la Red, el Nanticoke, Bay Health y todas las organizaciones, a la policía, a todas las personas que han contribuido a que este test masivo se dé en Sussex County. Dice que quiere recordarles a todas las personas que obviamente todos estamos en esto, que tenemos que usar la mascarilla obligatoriamente, mantener la distancia, que sigamos haciendo nuestro trabajo para que podamos salir adelante durante esta crisis. Dice que él quiere recordarnos a todos que la responsabilidad que tenemos como delawareanos para salir adelante es que obedezcamos lo que dice la ley y que contribuyamos a lo que está diciendo las autoridades, que está dirigido por el gobernador John Carney. Así que todos en esta situación vamos a seguir trabajando. Governor, I want to thank you again, and hopefully we'll have a better news every time when we talk to you, okay?
I look forward to that day, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, and say Happy Mother's Day to your mother and all the mothers that you're in touch with, okay?
Happy Mother's Day to all.
Thank you so much. Decía que le dé una feliz día de la madre para la madrecita del gobernador y también para todas las madres que nos escuchan. Y él dice que también feliz día de las madres a todas las madres del estado. Gracias, ese